Hey, welcome everybody to another Crystal Water Experience podcast, where I bring a new guest on every week who's a subject matter expert in energy healing, esoteric knowledge, and things you might have heard a little bit about, but we're going to dive in deep because we are in a new age of awakening when it comes to understanding new benefits for health and what makes us really healthy and happy and thrive on this earth. And I'm really pleased today to bring on Brian Siddhartha Ingle, who's going to be talking about quantum osteopathy. Is that right?
That's right. Thank
And
you.
I'm really excited about this because, and as soon as you mentioned that word, I said, this sounds amazing and I think I need it. And I'll probably explain as you're going along why that is, because I've had a problem with my back for some time and I've tried lots of different techniques. And it's getting there, but it's never quite healed. I know there's an energetic imbalance in me. I know this. So I'm really glad that you're on here because I think you're going to be able to point me in the right direction, but also other people that have got aches and pains in different parts of their body and they're trying to do like the holistic kind of 3D natural stuff. And they might have heard a bit about fascia and bowing and things like this, but it doesn't quite go. And there's something going on, and I'm really hoping today, Brian, you're going to be able to explain what's going on and help people see like the aches and pains from a different perspective. So a big welcome to you and thank you very much for sharing your knowledge today.
Absolutely my pleasure to be here and to share what I know. And just so you do know, when I refer to quantum osteopathy, I'm actually talking about traditional osteopathy, the way it was taught by the founder, Andrew Taylor Still. And the main thing that he was interested, well, actually, there's two principles in osteopathy. The one is to find the real cause of disease. And the second is to find the health. So in a disease situation, the health is always present. And when the health moves towards disease, self-healing takes place. So there's no healers, there's only self-healing, and there's only educators teaching people to remove the obstacles to the health so self-healing can take place.
Absolutely perfectly put. We've been brought up in a society which kind of believes that there are healers or magic pills, but at the end of the day, it's always about alignment, energetic alignment, and disease is always caused by blockages of one way, shape, or form. So I'm really pleased that you brought that here, and I hope that those listening really understand that you are your own doctor. All we can do is bring you the knowledge because awareness is key. And when you start to understand how your body really works, you can start to heal. And Brian, you have developed over these years a healing modality that's really effective. And I hope that as you explain your journey and where you've got to, we can get to the point where you can explain to people how that works. So Brian, how did you get into all this? What happened?
Well, when I was 18, finishing school, finished my, the equivalent in England would be A levels. I had options to go to university, and all my brothers and sisters were going into applied maths and engineering, and none of it felt right to me. And I got a job in a flower shop and a vegetable shop, and I was working many hours, and I thought, you better really love what you do in work in life because you spend so many hours at it. So I closed my eyes and I said, well, what is it you want to do? And out of nowhere, this voice emerged from within me and said, you should use your hands to help people heal themselves. I said, that's interesting. I didn't know anybody who did that. I didn't think about it before. And from that moment on, and that was 40, 42 years ago, all I did was study and practice just that. And that's how it all began for me.
That's wonderful. And you have such a calm and stillness about you. Have you always been like that? Is this a practice?
Well, my journey started, in fact, with I became a massage therapist pretty soon after that insight. And then I got into Ayurvedic medicine. And in Ayurveda, there is a whole path of meditation, of course. And in my early 20s, rather than partying like most early people in the early 20s would do, I joined a meditation community. And I meditated for 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. And I suppose that early formative influence of deeply going within enabled some sort of stillness to emerge. And that was very helpful then in my osteopathic studies later on, because in osteopathy, the beginning of any treatment should be establishing a neutral. And what that means is we should create conditions for a shift to happen in the patient or the student, where they come into a deep, deep place of safety and rest. And out of that place of safety and rest, the possibility of the groundswell of stillness may emerge. And the job of an osteopath is to synchronize, as I said earlier, to find the health within the patient. Now, let's go back to the roots of osteopathy, because I practice traditional osteopathy. And let's just say one thing, that DO, Doctor of Osteopathy, according to the founder, means dig on. He outlined a set of principles. He outlined philosophical theses on self-healing. And he didn't really teach technique. He taught principles and philosophy and anatomy. So what I've been doing is following his principles and philosophy and digging on. And of course, let's talk about the traditional, his teachings about what else he called the key lesion. Lesion, as you may or may not know, is something that's maybe a little bit dysfunctional, something not working well in the system. And usually when an osteopath looks for the lesion, it's usually on the physical level. It's usually like, L5, S1, or could be a peripheral joint, which is the key structural problem, which is causing the pain. And, you could have neck pain, but the key lesion might be in the lower back, etc., which is well and good and it's fine. The key lesion can be on a physical level. Unfortunately, most osteopaths only keep it on the physical level. Like you yourself have been trying to unravel this back pain that you have, and you've probably worked with a lot of structural and functional, looking at the body as a way to unravel it and find the cause. And if you don't find the cause of the thing, why you're getting the pain, then you're not really practicing osteopathy. And if you're only looking at the physical and not at the other aspects, then perhaps you're not really working with traditional osteopathy, which is fine. Anybody can work in the way they want to work. So he talked about, to find the key lesion is the key thing to do, to find the cause. We have the key lesion as one, but possibly it could be a physical problem, as I said. Number two, it could be a psycho-emotional problem. Number three, it could be an energetic problem. And number four, it could be a spiritual problem. So in your case, the question I would ask you to get into what possibly that is, one of the first questions I ask my patients is, what is it, Joe, that ails you in life? What is the real thing that ails you in life?
This is a really interesting question. Um, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm quite easily pleased with things. What I do though is I have an ambition to build, and I have little patience with the time it takes to get to somewhere. I would say that's probably the thing that uh, I feel the most frustrated, especially when it's something really good that I want to build and I want to get it done now. And the whole universe has to align, because it's not just me doing it. If it's just me doing it by myself, it'd be very easy, right? So that is the main things. I have no ill feelings or worry or anxiety about anyone or anything. None of that kind of worries me. But I would say that that's the thing for me the most is,
Do you
yeah,
feel that you're not getting supported in that way to manifest what you want in the time frame that you want, or you are?
I think people. Let's just think about that. I don't think anybody is not supporting me. I just think that the alignment of everything isn't as it needs to be to do what, in my mind, needs to be done. So I wouldn't say it's any specific person or anything bad like that.
It's more to do with the circumstances aren't aligning in the way that you want to achieve what you want in your timeline. Is that right?
It's exactly.
Okay. So that would be looking at the emotional psychological part. I'm not sure if that's the key thing for you. Often it is when it comes to back pain. Usually it's a sense of it's low back pain, I'm assuming you have, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Usually it's a sense of that somebody's not supporting you in life. And this hanging healing is going on. You have back pain and you get out of it, and then it gets triggered again by this person or situation that you don't feel the support, and you go into a sort of healing crisis, and it never gets resolved because you never resolve the issue or the conflict that you have with that person. So that doesn't sound like that's going on for you. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. I don't,
Okay.
there's no person in specifically or
There's nothing.
organization or anything
It's just
like
that
that.
you thing that stresses you in your life is trying to move forward in the timeline that you want things to move forward. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now let's move on to the and I don't think the key lesion for you is the spiritual thing because I think you are following your spiritual path. The spiritual thing would be, are you following your inner calling, your allotted path, your spiritual purpose in life, or in Ayurveda it would be called your dharma. I get a sense you're doing that, right?
Yes, I feel I've aligned myself. I mean, obviously, it's like a day by day choice on what you do, but I feel very rounded. I like how everything's fitting together. And yeah,
Hmm.
it's definitely my path.
Hmm. When did this back pain first come about?
2 years ago,
Or what happened around that time?
uh, this is a very good question. I was not in as a confidently spiritual mode then, I would say. I was not I wasn't definitely sure what my path was. I know I was destined for a different path and I totally switched maybe about 6 months after then. Um,
Hmm.
I guess, you know what? This is a very good question. I was in, you've got to get everything sorted mode because at that time I was concerned about what might happen, like with the government and things like this. I'm not worried about that stuff anymore. But at that
Hmm.
time, I was like, well, I'm going to make sure I've got this provision, that provision, blah, 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 and
Uh-huh.
make sure everything's sorted. So although
Okay.
mentally I've probably moved out of that, but
Okay,
really,
wait a second, because that's an important point there. Somewhere you were feeling like threatened or not having resources available for you, and you had to sort of somehow get those resources because you were afraid of what might happen in the future in relation to what you expected might happen. Is that what I'm hearing?
yes. Yep.
Ah, okay. So also we should know that it's not the conscious mind that runs the whole game, it's the subconscious mind, right?
Hmm.
So you could be saying I'm fine now and also, but that program may be still running for you. The
Hmm.
subconscious mind of not having the resources that you need, not having the support you have, feeling not so sure about your government and what it's providing for you and what it could do, a little bit of fearful around that. Is that right? Back
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
Back then, and you know, as you're speaking, I've got a really warm, tingly release going down my entire body. It's all in my head, it's all going down my back.
Okay. So we're hitting onto something that sort of seems to be true. Okay. Now, the reality is at this moment that the government didn't do all those things and you are resourced and things are going well. You're living your spiritual purpose in life. You've got this podcast going on and you really enjoy your work. Isn't that correct?
Yep,
All right. So it's time to turn off this biological program of low back pain, wouldn't you say?
definitely.
Very good. So let's do that.
That's amazing.
So, how do we do that? We have to address your subconscious mind. So, we'll do it now, but the time to do it is just before you sleep. Because before you sleep, you've got just before you sleep, you've got full access to your subconscious mind. So, Joe, you can now turn off this biological program, this back pain program. There is no need for this back pain program to be continuing anymore. You have the support of your environment, of your family, of your friends. You're living your deep spiritual path. All is well in your world. You are being supported. And the government is also supporting you because things are functioning just nicely in your world. There is no need to continue with this low back pain story. You can now switch it off. And that is what you have to say to yourself before you sleep, to your subconscious mind, and all the things that I just said.
Do you know, guys, that was incredible. And just like my whole body is just like kind of instantly relaxed. I can
Mm,
feel all these tingles. And that just goes to show how much things are subconscious rather than
mhm,
conscious. And it wasn't until you asked the question. It's like if people said before, when did you do your back pain? It was really when I was chasing chickens around the garden because one of them was sick and I was saving her, right? And that's
mhm.
what the physical thing. But then the way that you asked the question made me realize, but why did I have chickens in my garden in the first place?
Ah, interesting.
And it was about making sure that I had healthy food because I was worried about that
Mhm.
thing. And I've never thought about it until you posed that question. That was amazing.
So if we were to work with the physical thing, if I did decide that, and maybe there can be overlaps, and there often is. If it
Mm,
was a physical thing, this quantum osteopathy that I've described, what I do is I'm an embodied osteopath. I'm a somatic educator as well. What I do is, and we can't do it now because that would require another session. But what I do is I get you onto the floor. I bring you into this deep neutral. I allow what we call in biodynamic osteopathy the inherent treatment plan to show itself. That's the system's health doing its work. And I would guide you through embodied awareness, meditations, the still points, the tides of the cranial rhythms, or the mid tide or the long tide. We see where it goes. And I also, in that treatment or educational process, I might even say to you, allow me to sit at your feet, allow me to place my hands on your forefoot, allow things to settle down, etc. So it's like me giving you an osteopathic treatment without actually me being in the room and not actually physically touching you, but just tuning into your system and getting you to tune into your system to remove the obstacles to the health and to find the health and to allow the self-healing process to take place. So that's, if I was working with the physical, that's where I would go in a session. And we can do that now, but that's sort of
yeah,
an
that's
online.
amazing. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to share for those listening, because you've got a little bit of a hint there, but obviously it's very specific to the person. But
Yeah.
because my energetic body is now flowing, I can now see your aura. Now, I don't normally see auras. It's got to be in the right kind of light. I sometimes can. It depends on how bright it is, but I can see it very clearly
All right.
because of me being freed up.
Well, there you go. Well, let's talk about that actually, the energetic piece, because a lot of the work that I do is around quantum biology and circadian biology, and you probably know that we absorb light and we emit light. And the light is the way that we rapidly communicate through our own system, which is much faster than the nervous system. And the more that we can get our mitochondria producing the biophotons and get synchronized with each other, then the bioelectric field becomes very potent. And that is, in fact, the expression of the health in the system. Now, going back to our key lesion equation, one of the things that I often do is to figure out what the energetic thing is like with my student, patient, client. And that is to do with analyzing their routine and in relation to circadian biology. So a lot of us just haven't got the potency of the health because we're not in touch with nature inside because we're not in touch with nature outside. And I'm going to outline a few things on the energetic level that you can do to bring more potency into your system so that the health can do what it does, which is self heal. And the first thing that you can do is when the light comes out, whether it's sunny or not, you get outside with your feet on the ground and you be with the morning light to entrain your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock, to entrain all the other cellular clocks. You've probably heard of this before. It's essential, essential. And the second thing would be to do when the night comes, that you're in the dark and you have no artificial light, you just have candlelight, and you eat before sunset. These are high aspirations and goals. But even if you were to just, you know, get incandescent bulbs and not LED lamps, if you're to, for instance, turn the Wi-Fi off at night, if you're to get outside, even with your shoes on, you're bringing little pieces of this and you feel so much better that all of a sudden you're bringing in a lot more. And a lot of your friends think you're absolutely crazy, but because you feel so good within yourself that you don't really care. And we're all, I believe it's our birthright as human beings because we're so somatically, we're so intelligent, we're so smart. If we could really understand the mechanism that goes on within ourselves on a where quantum physics meets biology and the light that we produce, and that we are in fact light beings, and we could just get into the coherence and resonance of that, we would feel pretty good most, if not all of the time. And there's a few things that we have to do. We've got to get up. We got to see that sunrise. We get out of the artificial light in the night. And the nutrition piece, like really, really simple. Like I can say it in 2 sentences. Eat what's grown locally and in season within 100 or 200 miles of you. And don't eat after the sun goes down. And have a good breakfast. And if you can get protein in there, all the better. And if you can get in fish, even all the better. And that's it. And don't snack in between the meals. And this is pretty much going back to the Ayurvedic thing too, about circadian, the daily routine, circadian biology, eating locally. But a lot of people who got into Ayurveda, they ended up eating rice and dal, and even though they're living in the north of England. So eat what's grown locally and in season, and don't eat after the sun goes down. Now, if you can just follow a couple of those things, you will find drastic improvements in your health and the potency of the health, and therefore the self-correcting mechanism will be more strong, and healing will take place in a much more significant way. And you won't be left in what I call a hanging healing, where the thing gets completely resolved and you won't end up with chronic disease. I said a lot there, so I'll just pause and leave that with you.
That was incredible. And I was going to ask you a question. Why do you think energetically it's important to eat food, of a relatively local area rather than a lot of food
Because
like
the food that you eat is a bioelectric barcode in relation to the mitochondria. For instance, if you gave pineapples to an Eskimo, it just doesn't make any sense. We have lived culturally in the area that we have. If you want to know the answer to it, to the health issue and to being healthy, is what did your great grandparents do? How did they live their lives, and what did they eat? And I guarantee you, they only ate what was grown in season, and they only had firelight or candlelight for their light. If we could rewild ourselves, instead of trying to make ourselves pleasurable and comfortable all the time, when the seasons come, we embrace those seasons. When the cold comes, we embrace the cold. When the heat comes, we embrace the heat. So get back to rewilding yourself. As the famous Dr. Jack Kruse, the grandfather of quantum biology, he says, live like the Sphinx. And the Sphinx has got his feet and hands on the ground facing east, and eat like a great white shark. If we can follow these simple principles of watching this, being with the sun, and also if you can get outside in the day as much as possible, and in the light, all the different frequencies of the light at different times of the day, then that is a very important part of it too. I spend hours outside. All my work is done outside. As I speak to you now, I'm on a balcony and the sunlight is shining on my leg. This morning I got up and I went to a river that hits the sea, and I got into this cold river. I got really cold with this really fresh, with my feet on the pebble stones in the bottom. I got out. I did a somatic yoga practice with my feet on the ground, watching the sunrise, absorbing that light, absorbing the Schumann's resonance, the electrons from the ground, listening to the sound of the gentle ripples of the water that soothed my soul and brought in that healing component. And doing this very gentle, aware somatic yoga practice, the piezoelectricity, the direct current in the system, the light within, the coherence amongst all of that, and really building up the potency of the health. I tell you what, you can't feel sad or anxious or depressed for a moment. If you do that for a few weeks in your day, you're just happy out all the time. You've got a very clear mind. And then I go back again, which I'll go after this call, and I'll do an afternoon practice, and I'll have a swim in that Mediterranean Sea. I'm looking forward to it. It's behind me.
I would say I'm quite jealous of the environment that you've just described. But I just want to remind everybody that's listening that perhaps isn't anywhere sunny and beautiful like that now, that no doubt, not very far away from you, are equally beautiful, energetically important places. And I was reminded of this on last Thursday when I went to go and visit an old abbey in order to go and do some um, energy work there. And this is my problem because I'm always doing something for a reason, for something else, like, oh, this is my humanity work, etc., rather than for me. And when I went there, it was so stunningly beautiful. It's a 12-minute drive from my house, which means it's definitely walkable, although a big long walk. And it was literally just outside of the urban environment. And it was isolated. It was just completely empty of people and, industrial and Wi-Fi and anything like that. And it was stunning. And I was thinking to myself, I've never been here before. I've been to many beautiful places around, but I've never investigated this. And I went to the woods this morning for a walk around the woods around Hemlock Stone. And for the first time, even though I've been going to those woods for 20 years, obviously not paying enough attention, I suddenly realised that there's a yew tree there that was so big. If I put my arms out like this, I would be able, four of me would be able to go around the trunk. And I think there's so much beauty and so many things out there that's just on our doorstep that people could take advantage of that are incredibly healing. And I would just encourage everybody to just go out into, it's not very far to go out in your environment and you will find the most beautiful places and peace. And, you don't have to be in this beautiful environment that Brian's just described. And the healing is always there.
The
So,
right place for you is the place where you are. And the trick is just to get outside and be in nature and embrace what's happening locally and think about what your grandparents and great grandparents were doing. But you cannot achieve the potency of the health by being in an artificial environment with artificial light, with artificial heating, with non-native electromagnetic energy. It's near impossible to achieve health under those circumstances. You have to go out of your way to rewild. And as you said, it's free. You don't need any fancy gadgets. Tina, Tina, there is no alternative to the natural light. And the light and the dark and magnetism, the magnetic field of the earth, and water and structured water and the mitochondria that produces structured water are the key players in all of this.
mhm.
Come get aligned with nature's law so that you can be aligned with your own nature. And it is your birthright, it is your God-given gift to have optimal health, because you have this system that's capable of it. If you could just create the circumstances for that to happen, then you will achieve it. There's no authority greater than you about your health. You are sovereign in your own system, and you are the highest authority for you and your health. And if you could just spend a moment and ask the questions in the way that I did when I was a teenager, the answers are all there for you. You just have to wait and listen. And those answers will become louder when you get aligned with nature's laws, because you are nature.
I couldn't have said that any better myself. We are very, very aligned on this. And we have been shifted more away from nature than ever before. So I'm almost creating hacks to try and fix that. But there's nothing better than being in nature itself. So one of the things that's deeply beautiful for me in my sleep is that I've taken one of the grounding sheets and I don't plug it in. I don't find that beneficial. But I've connected it to an olive tree that's been grown in my garden for 20 years.
Wow.
And every single time I get into bed, it is
Wow.
it's like being in a warm hug. And I don't understand why we're plugging them into dirty electricity supplies. We can
Mm.
do some of these hacks, but there's nothing better than going out there sitting in a tree. And especially the more, and this is the other thing that we've found is that, your garden, unless you've done something to make it as wild as possible, like maybe let nature grow, but if you're just constantly mowing your lawn, it's energetically really quite dead. You need to, it's under the bushes that will be more energetically viable. And so just even leaving your grass to grow quite long makes a huge difference energetically because you can measure it with with a voltmeter. But the most undisturbed places, such as in the forests and things like that, are the most energetically viable. So, Brian, what would you said something really interesting. And you was talking about light. Actually, for those people that don't know, could you explain the what were you talking about? The suprachiasmatic
Nucleus.
nucleus, that's it, and the rise of serotonin and melatonin. Because that pathway is hugely important for what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the suprachiasmatic nucleus is the master circadian clock right in your brain, and it's in relation to the a few things actually. It's in relation to the light and the eyes receiving that light in the morning, and that sets that clock. So, for instance, if you wake up in the morning and you look at your phone, then you're giving this sort of light that is the same as like midday at the longest day of the year, and that is the wrong information to give the suprachiasmatic nucleus. So that is the worst thing that you can do. You have to give the right light to your environment with the longitude and latitude where you are. Get outside and be with that to set this clock. Now, when you set this clock, you are also influencing the whole melatonin story. And there's two aspects to melatonin. It's not the hormone of darkness, it's also the hormone of light. And subcellular melatonin, that is the melatonin that does the apoptosis and phagocytosis. It's just the cleanup in the cells. And that happens in the night, but you must develop that melatonin by being in the light during the day and being with the near infrared light, because and the near infrared light is mainly what the sunlight gives. It's mainly near infrared light. And so we can absorb that even not when we've got the UVA or B around. And when we have more subcellular melatonin going on, that cleanup can happen. Now, if you're eating late, if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock and you're eating at 9 o'clock, then you're going to be into digestion rather than to cleanup. And that's why it's so important to not eat 4 hours before you sleep. And ideally, when the sun goes down, you stop eating, you stop drinking, so that when you come to sleep, and you'll sleep very, very quickly if you follow these. Honestly, it takes me 10 seconds to go to sleep. I close my eyes, and 15 seconds every night, I'm asleep. And it will happen. Your circadian clock will be so in tune if you start following these laws. And then the subcellular melatonin will do the cleanup, and the melatonin in the brain will start coming out, and then you will be able to go into this deep, deep sleep. Now, if you've got non-native electromagnetic energy, that's going to dehydrate your system. If you've got artificial light, that's going to give the wrong signals. If you're watching your computer or your television or your phone, you haven't got a chance. You haven't got a chance. All that stuff, if you really want to take your health seriously, has to sort of come to an end. Regarding the serotonin, that is very much in relation to the UV light and how we are addicted to UV light because it makes us feel so good. And the reason why we're addicted is because the other health benefits that we get, and that is massive. If you can really build up the melanin in your system, the suntan over a summer, and to do it, and the best way to do that is to be with the morning light, because that prepares you for the more intense light later on. It doesn't have to be like hours and hours. It could be 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. But I would say if it's possible to find a private place where you're completely naked in that UV light. And of course, we have less UV light in the winter. But when you think about it, if we produce light within, and we are light beings, then perhaps that biophotons that we produce within would enable us to produce melatonin or a melanin. So the thing to do as we're coming into the winter here, and especially where you are in the in the central England, is to embrace the cold. Embrace the cold. The cold is your friend. And go. I mean, I haven't lived in a cold environment for many years. I've lived in India for most of my adult life. But when I have the opportunity to be in the cold, I love it. And when I'm in India, I have my own ice bath, which I do quite regularly. So coming into the winter season, try to harvest the light within, which means following all the principles that I've been saying and embracing the cold. And if you can get into cold water, cold lake swimming or seawater swimming in the winter, there's nothing like it. Embrace the season and work with the natural light and dark cycles. And you can come through it without this feeling of deprived of the light. Because the problem with the seasonal thing in England in the winter is that one tends to get into this party mode and this staying up late mode and drinking more mode and eating more sweets, which isn't the flavor of winter from a circadian perspective. It's more a place to go inward and to go quiet and to reflect. And there's not much food available, and there's certainly not any fruits or sweet things. So that should be much more less, and to sleep more and to go to bed earlier and to get into hibernation and to embrace it in the way that it's showing us, to become in line with it. And when you do that, you can have a beautiful, blissful winter without craving light. Of course, if you can get away for a couple of weeks for a light bolt hold, nothing like it. But we're doing the opposite all the time. We keep breaking the nature's laws. We keep craving and finding comfort all the time rather than, well, I would say, suffering in our comfort zone rather than embracing the elements and the heat and the cold and nature as it shows itself throughout the seasons.
Oh, that was so beautiful. I am not a person who enjoys the cold, I have to say. I blame my Egyptian heritage for some of that.
Is
Um,
it your mother's side that's Egyptian?
yes.
Well, there's a reason for that because the mitochondrial DNA goes through the maternal bloodline. So therefore, that your mitochondria has not mutated to produce heat in the cold. You're not used to that. Unlike somebody whose mother has been in the north of England and for generations, then they've got that the mitochondria has morphed, if you will, to enable you to generate heat. But you have not got that because your mother was Egyptian and her mother was Egyptian. So you don't know how to do that. But you can train yourself to do it, and you can just do little pieces of it. You can just play a little game with it. Oh, I'll just go out in the cold for like 2 minutes and I'll just see how that feels. Or I'll jump into this thing for 20 seconds. You can actually get there, but I understand you're right to blame not to blame, but that's the circumstance.
Yeah,
And that's okay.
I've got a bit of a okay, just a little caveat on that. So yeah, it's my mom is half Egyptian, so her mother then was Irish. So I don't
Okay.
have any excuse, is
Oh,
what you
okay.
say to
Sorry.
me. So, but yeah, it's just, and I've noticed, like the more that I've like been working from home and things like this, the more that I can avoid going out in the cold. I've been thinking about this. Then it's interesting you bring it up. Like now that I'm out of the rat race and doing this all, as living my life as I want to. I'm not saying that I don't work hard because you still have to, but it's I'm more in control of it. But I don't have to wait at a bus stop 15 minutes in the cold. I was thinking about this the other day and I was driving past people and I was like, wow, I don't have to do that anymore. And I felt, I felt sorry for the people having to sit and wait there. And I thought, am I just really lazy now? Because I never experience any cold discomfort.
Oh, you
And
should go out of your way to experience cold discomfort now that the winter is coming. You should definitely do that in nature.
okay.
You should definitely do that. In my
Uh,
opinion, you don't have to, but you could
no,
do
no, no. It's
it.
I've noticed this. I've really been consciously aware that I'm making everything too easy for myself, and
Mm.
there's something missing because because I'm not making myself uncomfortable. Because that's
Hermetic
just very
stress.
good.
A little bit of stress is very, very good. Hermetic stress. A little bit of stress is very good. Cold, heat, depriving yourself of food, intermittent fasting. And by the way, the intermittent fasting should not happen in the morning. You should eat a good breakfast in the morning. It should happen like if you want to do that, you stop eating at 3 o'clock and then you fast till a good breakfast in the morning. If you want to get
Ah,
the
yeah.
Cajun biology thing right, definitely you want to go with the good breakfast and eat a very, very early dinner.
Right, okay, and then do it like that. Brilliant.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think that's when I've done it, which I do actually quite regularly. That's the way I do it because I do find it easier to do it like that. But maybe it's because it's supposed to flow like that. That's really interesting. So, can I ask you a quick question? So, what is the dark? I know it's the absence of light, but it's not the absence of all lights and all frequencies. Is it and I've also been researching into UVC and the benefits of UVC and near infrared. And it just strikes me that, I mean, we talk about UVA and UVB, but UVC is like, it's really important. And I'm not sure that it's in the sunbeds and everything like that. I don't think that spectrum's in there. But the fact that we're in this kind of light environment, I really love what you've said about the fact that we can produce our own light because we do produce. infrared. That's how you see us on cameras. But I've never seen anybody see that we produce, UV light or UVC, probably specifically, which is directly related to the mitochondria.
I'm
Oh,
not so sure about that. I've been thinking about UVC, but I mean, just in terms of UVC from the sunlight, or does that come from the sun, and how to harvest it, and what does it do differently from UVA and UVB? I mean, when I lived in India, I used to in the height of the summer at midday, I would even experiment with that. I would go outside and I'd get on this water tank of my building, and I would get naked. And I was like, I wonder if I'm getting some UVC at this point. What is it doing? I thought about it, and I don't really know what the UVC is for and how it affects us. But I do know that we produce light, we produce biophotons. And the more that we harvest light and near infrared light, the more that we can produce light. And when that light is coherent and the mitochondria is all spinning in the right way, then the potency of our bioelectric field is much stronger and the health is much stronger. And therefore, when disease comes around, which by the way, I believe is part of the healing too, as long as we can go to the key lesion as to disease. So Andrew Taylor is still the founder of osteopathy. He just didn't work with musculoskeletal pain. He worked with any disease process and he looked for the key lesion, but he used his hands and to work with the body to treat that as well. So finding the health means being aligned with nature's laws. It means harvesting light. It means emitting light. It means that the mitochondria are all spinning in the right way. So we're coherent light beings. And when we do that, then, and we go to the root cause, then we won't be in a situation where we're in this hanging healing, where we get sick and we, as Plato put it so eloquently, he said there's two types of medicine. There's the medicine for the free man, and there's the medicine for the enslaved. And the medicine for the enslaved means when the slave has got symptoms, you get some medicines to suppress the symptoms to get them back to work as quick as possible. And the medicine for the free man is to treat the psyche and the soul and really find the root cause of the issue and treat that accordingly once you've found the cause, which usually takes a lot more time and conversation and education. So I would like to think that I practice medicine of the free and that Andrew Taylor still practice medicine of the free, because we're looking for cause and we're knowing that only self-healing takes place and there are no healers. So there you go.
that's beautiful. Maybe I'll have a chat with you offline about UVC.
Yes.
Because it is about the right spin, a coherent spin. It changes the spin of things. But this is
Okay.
it's not an exploratory. It's just because you mentioned it before, and I thought, wonder where we can
Yeah.
go with this. What I'd like to do now, for those of you on YouTube, I'm going to show you this brilliant website called Living Somatics, which you have. That was just
Yes.
on there now. It's a really great website. You've done a really brilliant job, so well done, well done to
Thank
you.
you.
And we've got these different. I've
Yes.
got equine somatics, which I was like really interested. Biodynamic osteopathy, and this
Yeah.
really speaks to me, and we've just had a flavour of that. But you've got
Yes.
lots of different um, energetic workflows here, which I think is absolutely beautiful. Can I quickly nip into this equine somatics because this is really fascinating?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shall I play this little video?
Sure, if you like.
Just to show.
This was me a good while ago.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm in communication. See, I'm looking to the left and it's contracting their muscles there and then releasing out. It's what we call a pendiculation, a lengthening. So it's working with the horse in this way over an hour where they're just tuning into their system, the nervous system, the health, and allowing the horse to do this self-correcting mechanism.
That is absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And do you do much of that work still now, or are you
Not
mainly
at the moment. I can do that when I'm actually around horses. At the moment, I'm not so much around horses.
great?
What's coming up for me soon is a quantum osteopathy course with the Shift Network. So that'll be launched in January. So if you're watching this video now, we're if you just Google the Shift Network and Brian Siddhartha Ingle and quantum osteopathy, you'll find that online.
Yeah, it's not on your website yet because
It's
it
not on the
hasn't
website
checked.
yet, but it
Yeah,
will
but
be.
that's
Yeah,
with the Shift Network.
that's right.
That's going to be very powerful. I'm really, really interested in this.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's my newest creation in terms of the embodied quantum osteopathy and how to teach others to get the information around that. And also the meat of it is the meditation and movement lessons around to remove the obstacles to health and to find the health and how to do a self-treatment using your own hands on yourself as I guide you through that.
Yeah, that's just absolutely incredible. I'm just looking at this course here, 5 week. So you did this in at the beginning of July. Well, are these intended to help people learn these practices so that they can use them for themselves and others, or?
Yes, I have different courses. This one, my business partner, Maya Gatri Shifra, she does this Nourish and Revitalize, and again, it's about quantum biology, and it's about yeah. This was on quantum and circadian biology. This is one of the latest courses that I did, and it was all about the quantum biology and circadian biology principles and how to bring it into your life. So yeah, you can just have a look around and
That's
get a
incredible.
sense.
It, this knowledge is really, guys, just go to livingsomatics.com. I'll also put it in the notes. This is really knowledge for the day. This is like really deep, but simple stuff.
Yeah,
It's so important what you're saying. I mean, I haven't just think I was just been really listening to what you're saying and thinking, how well have I done what you've just been describing? And I know all about the circadian rhythm and I talk all about melatonin, serotonin pathways and things like that. But there are definitely things that I can do better.
yeah.
But there's definitely things that I do better than I did before. So for instance, I don't go to sleep with the curtains closed. I have the curtains open because I want the light to wake me up in the morning. I've got like a
Hmm.
window straight above me. Um,
Hmm. As
but
long
there's
as you've got no artificial light coming in that window, no problem.
exactly. So the other thing you've got your one-to-one consultations. I
Yeah.
wonder if you can tell me what kind of people come to see you and why people
Well, at
like
the
me.
moment, yeah. So if you want to work with me online, that's not a problem because, as I said, I've developed this method of giving a treatment to you, an embodied quantum osteopathic treatment, just by taking case history, finding out the key lesion is in the way that I did with you, giving information in that regard, working with the subconscious mind, and then getting you on the floor and finding the health and doing embodied somatic movement lessons and osteopathic inquiry around the health. So that can happen as well. If you want to contact me, I can help you with that if needed.
That's brilliant. Because I think we've just proved this morning that you don't necessarily have to be there in person because you can guide
Yes.
people through these practices.
Yes.
That's incredible that release from you. I can just see your aura so clearly just since doing that. And what we were talking about is, I just think I fell over the chickens 2 years ago, but actually it was something significant has shifted in that process. So,
Mhm.
I mean, so what else would you like to talk about in order to finish this off? Like, how would you inspire people to kind of take this stuff seriously in their
Mm.
lives? And maybe a couple of things that people can do. I know you've mentioned some already. What are the main two or three things people can do that will impact their health?
Mhm. Well, I've already mentioned it, but I'll say it again because they are so important.
Yeah.
One is to not look at your phone when you get up and not be in artificial light when you get up and be with the natural light outside, even if the sun isn't shining. And if you can, have your feet on the ground. Number one. Number two, um, only eat what's grown locally in season. Number three, if you can stop eating when the sun sets, or at least don't eat 4 hours before you sleep and be in the dark in the night. Don't be in LED light, TV, phones, and all that sort of stuff. It's a killer. You know, when you're on your phone and you're looking at that light, it's the equivalent of actually eating a cheesecake. Believe it or not, that's a scientific fact. So keep
Wow.
away from that artificial light. It's just a nightmare. And once you start getting in training to these things, you become very averse to the stuff that you thought was okay and normal before. You just won't be able to do it because you're going to be so sensitive and you're just going to feel so well not doing these things and embracing these other tips.
Thank you so much. And thank you very much for going through them again because I am a devil for my playing with my phone at night time to help me
No,
relax.
no,
It
no, no,
doesn't.
no, no.
So I'm going to
You're
start
not
by,
addicted to the content on the phone. You're addicted to the blue light on the phone.
yeah,
And
definitely.
one other thing I would like to say, before you sleep, as things are settling down, you can use the osteopathic mantra. At the end of the out breath, as you breathe through your nose, just before you sleep, ask the question, where is the health? And let your system give you the answer. It's not a thought. Your body will give you the answer. And the health will be working with you all night long.
My gosh, that's beautiful. I just feel absolutely blown away and very honored that you shared all of that with us today. Just a massive thank you to you for being on the show, Brian.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So everybody in the show notes, you'll be able to find more about Brian's work. It's been very therapeutic for me. I hope you've enjoyed that for those listening. I will have another guest on next week as we deep dive into things we thought we knew about, but clearly we don't, as we get these subject matter experts in. So thank you very much, Brian, for being with us today.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
And I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.